Hey everybody, are you riding with a GPS SOS beacon? If not, why not? I just recently started doing this. Let me tell you why and what I chose. Stay tuned.
It's always a good time. It's always a good time.
Well, if you're anything like me, then you probably spend at least half of your time riding alone. There is one thing that is an absolute fact. You see, back in the old days when we got injured out riding, it was a real gamble as to whether or not you would get help in time or not. This little unit right here guarantees that you get the help that you need as quickly as possible. I recently had a wreck in which I broke a collarbone, and I was lucky. I went down in an area where I didn't have cell service, but I only had to walk about a half a mile to get on a little ridge. Had that been a leg, that might have been a much bigger deal. But it was a collarbone, it was an easy walk, and while it was unpleasant being busted up, it did make me think about the necessity of being able to get help when I go out riding in the remote places that I do go from time to time. And when you do that, there is always that inherent risk of injury, be it through animal attack or more commonly through a motorcycle crash or something to that effect. And so that's why I chose to carry an SOS beacon. Now, I probably spent 3 months, 4 months thinking about this and reading about the various kinds that are out there. There's a lot of different kinds out there. I'm not going to go through them all. If you're thinking about an SOS or an emergency beacon, then you're probably already doing this. So I'll just keep it short in saying that I chose the one that is called the Inreach Mini. I'll get this up close here. And I chose that for a couple of reasons. The biggest one is how small it is. I really like that I can just tuck that into a chest pocket on my riding suit, which I wear a climb riding suit that actually has a pocket that's designed just for this sort of thing. And it's easy to put in a backpack. You can clip it onto just about anything. I just put a carabiner on it to make it that much more versatile. So I really like the size of it. The reliability, a lot of the reviews that I read said that the Garmin units were much more reliable, and the SOS feature of it is built in here on the side, and it opens with a little door here, and then you have your button inside of there that is the button you would hit if you had an emergency. But I like the way that that thing is set up because it's really well protected so you don't accidentally hit that button. So here's what happens if you hit the button. If you go down and you need help and you need it immediately, you push that button and probably the next thing that you see is helicopters, depending on where you're at. If you're on the street somewhere, well, it'll probably be an ambulance. But if you're like me, typically I can get into places on my motorcycles that most vehicles can't get into, so you're likely just going to see a helicopter arrive to come get you. One of the other reasons that I chose this unit, and this was kind of a big thing to me, is that obviously I'm always making videos and I use my phone for that, I use GoPro cameras for that, but I'm always kind of hooked into technology when I'm riding. And because that little bitty screen isn't very big, it's pretty much useless for sending an emergency text or anything. One of the things that I like is that this connects to my phone via Bluetooth. And that means that I can send an A-OK text to my wife or a friend or something like that through my phone. Because it connects to this, it goes from my phone to the GPS unit to the stars and back to whoever it was intended for. And I don't have to have phone service to do that. It's operating completely off of the GPS. And that's something really nice because when I get out in the wilderness, I just put my phone into airplane mode so that it's not searching for service. But even in that mode, I can still see all of the GPS topo maps that this unit provides, and I can look at it in the big picture on my phone without having to carry a larger unit. This thing, mind you, is in my pocket. I'm not even looking at it, and I can see everything that I need to see on my phone, which is mounted to my handlebars. So I have all the control of this through my mobile phone, which I usually have out and I'm using anyway for various pictures and video clips if I'm not using a GoPro. So that was a big plus for this one. So doing any kind of a review wouldn't be a proper review if we didn't talk about price point real quick. This was $350, and I wish I could tell you that that's where it ends, but it doesn't, because in order for this to function, you have to also have a subscription, and the subscription is not cheap. I will say this though, they do ease the pain of it a little bit by doing it this way. You can buy a yearly subscription, but if you're like me, where probably only 4 or 5 months out of the year you're really getting out into the remote places, then I just buy it a month at a time, and the per month price is higher than what it would be if I bought the whole year, but I don't have to buy the whole year. I can buy like this month. I was injured all summer, so I only bought 1 month of service on this year that cost me 45 bucks. Is it worth the peace of mind for 45 bucks knowing that I can get help if I truly need it? I would say yes. I have been down in some relatively deep canyons, and unless I was up against a cliff wall, I've not had an issue with this thing getting service. I'm happy with it. I've used it. I've tested it out. I have sent messages with my location to my wife, and I think that it's my lack of understanding and fully knowing how to use the unit yet that has prevented that from working flawlessly. But at any time, I can send an update message that will give my location, and that portion of it did work well. So, folks, if you are riding alone and you are not riding with an emergency GPS, I highly recommend that you get one of these by any manufacturer. I chose this one, and I think if you do the research, you'll probably land in the same boat that I did, which is this really is the better unit. You decide for yourself whether or not you need that, the features of the better unit or not. It's up to you. But as always, thank you for watching, and remember, ride with a smile.